The software is designed such that you can get a result really quickly and really easily. If you start with one of the templates, and I've done that here, the template will contain a space, in this case 21 meters by 30 meters. It's got a dummy house footprint at the bottom. You would replace that with your own, of course, but just imagine you're working on the rear yard. You would set up a series of triangles so that you could draw the boundaries of the site, and these are drawn here in magenta, and I drew them by triangulating, by measuring from one corner of the house out here, from another corner of the house out there, and swinging a couple of arcs. So we'll eliminate those, and it's easy to erase entities. You just pick them and then right click and erase. So now we have our house footprint, yours will be different, and our house boundaries, yours will be different. Then you can start your landscape design. You might start by putting tall trees into the site. So these two symbols here are tall tree symbols, so we could pick that one there and then right click, copy it, mark a point in the center, and let's say we'll have 3 of those at the back boundary and we'll finish. Then unselect all. We might then want to put in some smaller trees. So let's pick this guy here and we'll copy him there and stamp those in, because on our site visit we might well have established that some screening is needed there. So we have some tall trees at the back of the property and mixed in with a couple of smaller trees. If you want a denser symbol, we could pick this one, copy it, mark a base point and put it in there. There is nothing to stop you scaling those symbols. They appear rather faint, and the reason for that is that when we do a print preview, they'll show as a sort of ghosted upper canopy. When we put in, say, a large shrub or a medium shrub, let's put this one in here, and you'll notice if you come over here and look at the block reference, that's called a large shrub. So we can copy that large shrub and we'll put a couple of instances of it under here and finish. Now when we go to the layout, which is just a matter of clicking here, and we'll zoom in a little, can you see that the larger tall tree canopy plants just ghost out as an upper canopy, and we can see the understory reasonably easily. We then go back to the model and continue to design. We might then move to designing an outdoor entertaining area for adults, and we'll have a children's play area somewhere else in the design. So to put that paved outdoor area in, it's a matter of draw, and we want rectangle 2 points. We'll snap to this end point here and then line the second point of the rectangle up like so, just with the outer eve line. So we have a rectangle here that we're going to pave and put some seating on. So you'll notice if you look over here, the properties of the rectangle show, and the perimeter and area and so on. The width being 6033 millimeters. Now logic would say round that off to make it a 6 meter area, so just type 6. And in this case 4334, you might want to make that 4300 or 4250, or a multiple of whatever the size paving brick that you're intending to use. We'll make it 4500, and you should be able to see the slight change in the area. So if we click back in here, right click and unselect all, now we've got an area set aside for paving. Well, let's imagine that we wanted to put some hardwood decking in here, and we can do that with the hatch command. So it's draw and hatch and select the object. I'm following the prompts down in the command area. I pick the entity, then I right click, and I've chosen from a long list of different hatch patterns horizontal lines, parallel horizontal lines, and I can change my scale, my density. If I set, say, 2500 as the scale, notice the density changes to 19, the density drops. You don't want that number to be too high, so OK. And in goes some hatching, indicating that that will be decking. Well, let's imagine that we wanted to have a path leading from the decking out into this zone through here. So what I've done is to use the polyline command, that's draw polyline, and I've drawn a polyline from the midpoint of the decking exit up to here, and then drawn perpendicular to that boundary. So I use the perpendicular option, snapping to perpendicular there. Now what we'd like to do is to make that path, let's say 1200 mil wide, so we can go modify and offset, and we're asked to select the object to offset. It's the polyline, and we want to specify a point on the side to offset, so we'll indicate under the line, and you notice that I got a very small offset, so I can undo that and repeat the offset command, pick the object to offset, then right click, which enables me to input a distance. So I'd like 1200 millimeter wide path, so I need a 600 offset for one side, so we go OK and do that, and then pick the center of the polyline again and right click to finish, and we'll get rid of the center line through there now so we can erase it. So now we have a path leading through here to that point. Actually, I'll undo because I still need that center line. What I'll do now is to draw a circle, center radius, and I'll pick the near option, which enables me to lock onto that area through here. So we'll put a circle in like so, and then we can trim, so modify and trim, use the circle as a cutting edge, and then we can trim off these lines through there. We'll erase those. They're now gone. So now we can get rid of that center line polyline and erase it. So now we have a path leading from the midpoint of the decking area through here, and you might well hatch that zone through there and even hatch the circle. There'd be no difficulty in picking that circle, which I forgot to put a nice diameter. It's 4175, which a tradesman could work with, but I might want to offset a little bit to the inside. I might want to put another circle in, again using these O snaps, locking into the center there, and have a zone through here where we could put a tree. So we might come over here now and have a look at our symbols. Let's pick this one and right click and copy it and put it in the center there, and we'll finish. Now we might imagine that that tree would in fact must be much taller and have a bigger canopy diameter. I can select the tree and right click and scale, mark a center point there, and we can scale it by say a factor of 3. So now we've got what will be a large deciduous tree planted in the center of that area, so decking will lead us through in that zone. So now I hope you can see that our design is taking shape reasonably easily and reasonably comfortably, and we can pick any other plants, pop them in and do whatever pattern we want. So our design is taking place. We just need to go to layout, and we can zoom extents, and we can see our layout here with everything showing rather nicely. One of the modern trends in landscape design is to do mass planting of a single species. Let's imagine that I wanted to put Cycas revoluta in this area here, a mass planting. So I put one copy in, and now I can right click and copy it, mark a point in the middle, and because I've got tracking on, I can click in a couple of steps and just put mass planting at nice intervals, and I've set an additional tracking distance, and I'll finish from there, so that the line of that planting matches the line of the boundary there. Then it would be a pretty simple matter of selecting all of those and then copying those, and this time we'll go across in that direction, and quite quickly we have our mass planting going. It's a little bit exaggerated, a little more than I would prefer to put in there, but we just then zoom in on here. I'm using the wheel of the mouse to zoom in, and then right click and erase those. So now it would be time to tag one of those plants to indicate the species that are being used. So we can zoom out a little, and I'll scroll down using the scroll bars this time, and I'll select this little indicator here, and you'll notice when I try and select a single one you get a whole group, so I'll explode those, and then I'll just take number 1, which is a number 1 and a red circle, and I'll copy it and again mark a point in the middle and come over here and put it on top there. So we can just put a note in our planting schedule, species 1, mass planting of Cycas, and text of course is relatively easily put in. It's just draw text and you have a number of options, single line text or multi-line text for notes or text along an arc and so on. And I hope that's given you enough indication to see that laying out garden plans using this software is a relatively straightforward process.